we're going to create an organic house groove from scratch today, and by the end we'll have some kind of a template that I'll upload to Patreon and that you can access there. There's no script to this video, no preparation whatsoever, just simply me sitting in front of the screen, making a groove from scratch, doing what I usually do, and you get to watch the process. And the reason I'm creating a video like this is because I feel like I've been putting a lot of the process of my actual work aside for the sake of demonstrating some kind of a new plugin or some kind of flashy Max for Live device, which honestly hasn't been feeling too fulfilling to me recently. Sometimes, I'm gonna be honest, I get the inspiration to really go deep into a plugin that I'm currently enjoying and feeling inspired by, but I feel like I've just been putting aside the whole process of what actually matters to when it comes to making music, which is, building a groove from scratch, taking the time for the details, really taking the time to also select sounds and build your layers. I feel like that's something that I've just been bypassing as of recently for the sake of, come on, you got to create a groove quickly so you can demonstrate this plugin. It's things like that that kind of sit in your subconscious, and you think you have to create a new YouTube video with a flashy intro, a lot of animations. It has to be about this new plugin or Max for Live device, which is just, I don't know. I'm at the point where I feel like, frick all that, frick all that shit, and let's go back to the basics. Let's go back to why the frick I started this YouTube channel in the first place. I rewatched the first videos that I ever posted onto this YouTube channel, and it was me just, sitting there, not thinking about the camera even being there and just doing my thing. And I'm gonna do my best to do so as regularly as I can. But I'm gonna be honest, posting videos or live streams with a particular deadline, with a schedule, is something that has just been burning me out, especially with the whole life situation with my mom's health being impacted at the moment. I feel like I cannot afford to always be available week after week and having other projects going along like sound packs and having to manage a Discord community. And this is partially also one of the reasons why I am going to be closing down the Discord community, just so you know, because it's just not as active as I originally thought it would be. And I don't feel like managing it. It's just something that I feel like always is a task that I don't feel like doing. So I'm going to close the community and later perhaps open up some kind of a private community that has exclusive access to some parts or some kind of content. Let's see how that goes. But yeah, guys, that's the life update from my side. I felt like I needed to speak about this because I haven't posted in a few weeks and I didn't want to just leave you there with nothing. So yeah, there's the update on my behalf. Let's dive into the video. Let's create some organic house, dudes. All right, let's start off with some kind of a kick. I have a MIDI track over here. Let's go to a sound pack that I've recently released called Dub Organica. I like this one because it has a few layers. A transient that has some higher frequencies in it, and I'm going to delete the EQ and the compressor, just keep it simple. BPM 123 is fine for me. That rhymed, lil. And we're going to call this one kick. Create a MIDI clip by double clicking 4 to the floor, so 4th. Click 1/4 note, loop it up, drag it to the end. And now dial down the volume so we have a bit of headroom. Cool. Now let's get some kind of a hi-hat groove going, so new MIDI track. This one sounds nice and organic. We can leave the low cut in here. And now let's double click 8th note. So every second 8th note we want a hi-hat, so we can loop this up. I'm gonna thin out the frequencies here and also mix it in so we get some headroom. Here we go. Now let's create a new MIDI clip and add our clap. And we're going to layer some claps here. So I'm going to add one of these. Click this, hit Command G, open up the chain list here. So this one is kind of like our long clap. So actually quickly draw in our clap groove. So every second 4th note is the clap. Loop this up. And play that with the rest of the groove. This one I'd like to call body. So we got a longer layer with the tail at the end, the reverb tail. Then we have a body clap, and we have some kind of a 909 based clap here, which is always good to use as layers. Can mix them in here, depending on which clap you'd like to have emphasized the most. Maybe one more. And you can pan the claps that are less important, I would say, to the left and right. So you get a bit more stereo width. I'm gonna call this organic. Organic? Organic, there we go. So we get a nice and full clap layer. So this would basically be our core drums here. Okay, I'm gonna quickly rename these. Gonna call this one hat and this one clap. And what we're gonna do now is create a new MIDI track. And in that MIDI track, we're gonna load up a drum rack. I'm gonna go back into our samples folder and just load up some percussion sounds. Maybe some lower tom sounding percussions. And again, I'm going to use some of the ones included in Dub Organica here, simply because it's the newest pack that I've put out. Yeah, some kind of clave type percussion sounds, some kind of perks that could be potentially used as clap layers. Like I'm hearing some claps in here. Let's go back to low percussion. Kind of conga. More toms. Just load up some sounds that you feel like sound interesting to you. There's no particular process that I have when it comes to selecting these types of sounds. So let's double click. Let's play the groove. Extend the MIDI clip here. Maybe dial down the volume so we have a bit more headroom. Let's work with the 16th grid here. And let's play the groove from the beginning. Yeah, we're trying to come up with some kind of a hook here, right? Something that is a bit more memorable. Maybe like this, and hit Command to dial down the velocity so we get more rhythm. This is interesting. This is like a clap here. Yeah, that is dope. Get some unexpected results. So every second fourth note, we get a clap. Cool. Why the frick not? Let's duplicate that to the very end. This, I'm not sure if we need a clip that is this long, 8 bars. Usually I go for 4 bars, so half this length. So let me dial it down here. Zoom in and out. And then let's go for the low percussion here. Let's take this, maybe put it over here. You know what? Let's put it over here so we get a bit more variation and irregularity. Like this. That's cool. I like that little clave at the end. Let's keep that. That's nice. Now I'm going to take these low percussions and just duplicate them over. You can hit Command A and humanize by like 16 or 15%, which will just put it slightly off the grid, as you can see here, which adds a bit of an organic feel to it. You can also put it to a higher amount, which kind of adds like the swingy feel, but I don't want that. Let's just put it back to 16%, and that does that in real time, as I see here, which is kind of amazing. All right. Now let's call this one perk, and let's group all these 3 drums together into tops. So everything besides the kicks going into another tops channel. Give it a more brighter color. Kick, let's give it a red color. And now I will create a new audio track in the tops group. So you click on a channel that's inside the tops channel or the tops group, and it will create you that audio track in the group. If you click on the group and you hit Command T to create an audio track, it will create you that audio track or MIDI track outside of the group. So that's kind of practical to know. Workflow tip. You know what? Let's just go for some kind of, again, top loop. Something that just fills out our groove a bit. So I'm going to go into Dub Organica, loops, drum kits, and see if I can just maybe add a few hi-hat layers perhaps. Who knows? Maybe an additional hi-hat layer will do the groove some goodness. Yeah, this one's nice. I'm gonna go back into the perks group here, and I feel like these play a bit too regularly. So what I'm gonna do is open up this panel click on this little button down here, which opens up the chance lane. I'm going to open it up here and decrease the chance to about 50%, which will give these little clave perks a probability. So these clave perks don't play every time. It gives the groove a bit of inconsistency. What you could do is just also highlight all your percussions and give them a lower probability, which gives you some inconsistencies in between in the groove, but I'm going to keep them at 100% for now. We just want to have this clave sound played only on some parts, you know? You see? Sometimes it just leaves it out. It's similar to the trigger conditions or the probability on the Electron devices like the Digitact. And I'm just going to layer some percussions that I think are interesting here. Some textural, gritty top loop sounds from sample packs. You see, it just makes it sound a bit more full. This one has some kind of a tom groove inside. This can work as some kind of a lower hat layer. So let's add this, dial it down. Yeah. This layer has ghost notes. So hi-hats in between the hi-hats. So it's like da 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 da. And stuff like that always helps out the groove a lot. I'm going to create a new MIDI track now, and I'm going to load up a Kontakt instrument that I personally enjoy using so when it comes to shakers. And I'm going to use Shimmer, Shake, and Strike 2, which is by a company called In Session Audio. They make really amazing plugins. What I'm going to do is just dial down the track a bit, and I'm going to stick with the default pattern here, the first preset. But I'm going to go into Mixer and dial down the reverb and delay because I don't want that. I'm going to create a new MIDI track. What you want to do is make sure you enable the headphones here so you hear the notes that are playing. Drag one note in its entirety till the end of the MIDI clip. And now scroll until you find the sound. Like go arrow down or arrow up until you get a sound here. And for this plugin, it's usually C2, the original like default shaker groove. You'll see it already sounds quite nice. And as far as I know, Tim Green also uses this plugin for his shakers. So let's go into pattern. Let's mute the tambourine. I don't like that hit here. But if you want to, you could also go into this tambourine, the hit. You hear that every second, fourth note has a tambourine. If you don't want the tambourine, you can go into some other sound like this. Can also be fun to layer some claps this way, and then we can just keep on scrolling until we find something that we like. And you see there's a ton of different, there's even some claps, some stomps, because why not? And then we get some cymbal brushes. Like there's a lot of presets in here. And it's cool because there's some kind of a round robin going on inside the sound, which means that it always sounds different on each hit. It can also be kind of cool. But again, I'm going to mute it out because I don't feel like using it for now. You can add a bit of humanization so the groove isn't always tight, it's slightly off. And I'm going to mix it down so we don't have a really loud sound here. So before and now with the shaker, kind of fills out your groove a bit. You know, and you can really take your time with the emphasis here or the actual sound that you have. You see this one is panned to the left, this one is panned to the right, which gives it a bit of stereo width as well. Nice, nice, nice. Now I'm just going to add some ambience. Some kind of noise in the background. You can go outside, record some birds with your cell phone or something and just put it in your track. In this case, we have some kind of fire crackle sound or something like that. Now I'm going to group together the kicks and the tops, put those together into all drums. And on the all drums, I'm going to put the Black Box HG2 by Brainworks. It's a plugin that I've been really enjoying to use on my drums. Fattens them up a bit, makes them a bit louder, of course. Add some air. higher frequencies, emphasize them a bit more. Just test it out. Some A/B tests. Bring out some of those higher frequencies a bit, make the drum groove a bit more saturated. There we go, son. Now let's add some kind of an atmosphere. And this one over here, number 9, which is called Rebirth. It's made with Omnisphere. It's a really great plugin for pads. And I believe it's the same pad sound that Tim Green used in his track Citron. So what I'm gonna do is just drag this pad and put it here, mix it down a bit, and hit play and see how that sounds with the rest of the drum groove. Like, am I getting some kind of a feeling here? If yes, then this is the pad to use. And the pad... there you go. The pad always determines the key, for me personally. That's the element that I feel like decides which key my track is going to be in. In this case, you see it's in B minor, meaning that every note that I add from now on will also have to be in B minor, in the scale of B minor. I could also choose to double click the sound and pitch it, let's say, down 1/2 tone step. So now my track would be in the key of A sharp minor. If I pitch it down 2/2 tone steps, it would now be in the key of A minor. See, so that's like my guideline, the foundation for the key of the track. You could also loop a particular part of your pads like this, or even smaller. If you want to get more of a loop-based vibe. This is very usual to do in the more minimal genres. And if you have a loop, you usually want to have a bit more variety to the loop. Like, you don't want to have it sounding the same all the time, like ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. So the way to add variety to a loop, and I'm just going to let the groove play here, is to just add some filter movement. My favorite way to do so is using Slink devices. It's Max for Live. Again, you can also use other devices. I just really enjoy using the Slink. I think it's Slink LFO. Was it Slink LFO? No, it was Slink Filter. Yeah, Slink Filter. So basically just filters the sound in a different frequency ranges here, 100 Hz, 1K, and 10K. And it's just generally fun to mess around with. You can add some ripple for some inconsistencies. So you always get a different tone. It's like morphing all the time, you know? And perhaps we can just have some fun with some other Max for Live device, vector delay. Yeah, vector delay is kind of fun. It's like a morphing and moving delay. Let's solo this for now. Trippy. And at this point, you can also just scroll through the sound. Or, you know what? I'm just going to let the loop play through it. Lovely, man. And you get some kind of an idea for a melody. Or maybe a bass groove. We know we're in the key of A minor, so we're gonna have to select a key or a bass groove in the key of A minor. There we go, son. And as far as I know, I made this particular bass groove using Sting combined with a plugin that I've shown in a previous video. I'll link it here, called Flechtwerk. I'll show you quickly here how I did it. Create a MIDI track. You go add in Sting. So we're gonna use the Sting by IFTA and Flechtwerk by Terner Audio, or whatever they're called. Just chuck them into the track here, and then we're gonna put a scale device after this so we know that we're getting notes in the scale of A minor. So up, A minor, we solo the layer, hit play. Leave that bass in, and then select our waveform here. This is based on the plates. It's a hardware module, a Eurorack module. Really interesting. So we also set the root note here to perhaps A, so we get more consistent notes in the key of A minor. Maybe less notes, decrease the density. Like, this sounds freaking good. Get some really interesting tom grooves. And then you can just mess around with the harmonics. That's it, son. Like, get like a freaking amazing Tim Green sub. I'm saying Tim Green the whole time. He really is one of my favorite artists. I love the dude. Once you hit clip over here, you're gonna hit tab. Drag that MIDI clip, hit tab again, and put it onto your layer directly. Disable all the MIDI devices here, and now we get this. Perfect. And you might want to sidechain this to your kick, meaning that whenever the kick hits, the tom groove will be reduced in volume. I have a compressor loaded on every layer by default. So we select audio input from kick and then turn down the threshold here. Getting a bit more bounce here, you see. So whenever the kick hits, the toms are being drastically reduced in volume, in this case by 15 dB. Because we really don't need any tom sound stacking up with our kick, right? This is too intense. Yeah, so we have ourselves a bass groove, a pad, and the last thing that I would add in this case is some kind of a melody. And for melody, I don't like overthinking it. I mostly use Diva as a starting point, chuck in like a lot of reverb and delay, and then I already have a good foundation for a sound. Let's go into, I know that Tulum has some interesting presets. Maybe go for some kind of a pluck, record arm the track, and now you could either use your MIDI keyboard here, so enable the MIDI keyboard, so you can use your computer keyboard as a MIDI keyboard. Or you could just play in your melody using an actual MIDI keyboard. I'm using the Arturia Microfreaks keyboard here. Wee. Yeah, and this patch, the Song Starter 12 pluck in the Tulum pack, actually already has some effects here built in the track, or built in the Diva, I mean. If you're not feeling confident with your scales, you could either learn them, or you could activate the global scale lock here, go A minor because we're in the key or in the scale of A minor. In this case, I have a pitch device, which you can find in the MIDI effects, loaded by default. Here, it's the pitch loaded onto the track, right? And then you can just scale lock it to the global key. Now, whatever you play in will always be locked to the scale of A minor. So let's just hit record and make sure this track is record arms and just play in a melody. I'm just playing anything here, really. Doesn't matter. Yeah, I kind of like that last part, so let's dial in on that. Let's just delete everything else we don't need. Put that at the front, double click. Hit Command A, Command U to quantize everything. Yeah, there we go. And maybe tune down the octaves on some other notes, so hit Shift arrow down. And then just adjust the pitch of the individual notes here. Maybe just leave some space here. Yeah, there we go. And if you really want to get a spacey melody, what I usually do is add an extra send. So hit Command Option T to create a return track here. And then you add effects. My favorite effect is Echoboy Jr. Put that onto return channel B, 100% wet because we want to return only the affected signal since it's a return channel. Put it on memory, that's my favorite mode. Take out the lows, maybe saturate it a bit more input. And then we put an EQ afterwards, EQ 8 to low cut any of the unwanted frequencies. Then you send the tracks that you want to be affected or want to have affected by Echoboy Jr. into return B. So now if we hit play, getting like these really long tails. And if we put it onto dotted eighth notes, sounds a bit more interesting because it will fill out our groove in a way. Yeah, dotted eighth notes is always the best. And you can even crank up the feedback here. So you get some kind of rhythmic sequence, which can also be fun. Yeah, this is what I mean. This is what I spoke about in the intro. You know, I feel like I've just been bypassing all these little details in my videos because I had to show this new freaking Max for Live device. This whole YouTube thing can be really, I don't know, you're always watching all the freaking numbers and metrics to the point where you just get burnt out and forget why you started in the first place. So yeah, this is me just grouping all the tracks together, calling this one like tonal. And this one is called bass. Give it a red color and assign track color to clips. Maybe also on the group, assign track color to clips. So you can then copy your melody, paste it over using Option and drag, as you see here. So let's delete that Option drag. Double click. And now what you can do is hit Command A, go into your MIDI. And this is new in Ableton Live 12. This middle panel over here, just go into Recombine and then recombine your melody. Yeah, it can be really fun to just get different sounds, like an A-B phrasing type thing. So let's listen to it. A bit of mixing here. Nice. Yeah, and right now you have basically every element that you need to start arranging the track. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe. These sounds are available on Lotus Tunes. I have a couple bundles that include all the sounds from 2023, 2024, so feel free to check those out as well. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.